Hello again.
Hello. Hi, Emma. Hi, Erik. We are going to go and we're going to interview John Denver. Can you go get him, Erik? And by the way, I still love you since like 30 minutes ago.
I love you too, Mamacita. Why does he always call you Mamacita? He says that a lot.
I don't know. He usually called me something like that, but Mama. Sometimes Mom. Mom or Mama.
Okay.
Oh, the days when he called me Mommy. They were precious. Okay.
Because you will always be my mama. You know that.
Of course. You ain't getting rid of me.
He's here.
All right. Oh, John Denver.
Were you a fan?
All I can think of is Dumb and Dumber when the guy actually went to Nebraska and they were supposed to go to the Rockies, and so I can't think it was John Kerry said that John Denver is full of shit because there were no mountains. That was funny. But anyway, but you mean more to me, John Denver, than that Dumb and Dumber film. I adore your voice. It's so beautiful. Your songs are lovely, and a lot of people have begged me to interview you because you have really impacted a lot of lives. So thank you for coming.
He's saying thank you for having me, and yes, I would like to believe that I soothed a lot of hearts in my day.
So what does he look like to you, Emma?
He just looks like a sharp-dressed man. He's actually wearing a kind of looks like a tannish suit with a little black. I don't know what that's called, but it's
like a bolo tie.
There's like two little leather straps that go down.
That's a bolo tie. Bolo tie. Okay.
And he's wearing his glasses, but he does have short hair. I always remember a picture. John Denver was before my time. This was the 70s, I think. But I remember a picture of him having long blonde hair. But here he has very short cut hair. But he has a really beautiful smile, I think.
Yeah. All right, I've got a lot of questions from blog members, and then I will ask my questions, which are more kind of on the spiritual side. The first was the song "I'm Sorry" written about Annie leaving you?
Yes. He says that was an easy one. Next.
Okay. What were you thinking as your plane was headed into the bay? Were you planning on? Okay, yeah.
What was I thinking?
Well, tell me about your that trip in the plane and what you were thinking and why you were out there. Were you trying to kill yourself? Did you know there was a danger? I mean, or was it a complete surprise? You just fill us in there.
Well, when it comes to my death, let's just say that I hadn't been happy for a while. Annie had always been, she was my twin soul. And although I had other loves in my life, it never really fulfilled me. It never filled that void that I felt inside of me when she left. So I did go back and forth. I did struggle with depression. I was really good at keeping up appearances, and I was really good at staying happy and smiley, but deep inside there was such a huge part of me missing that I never felt it could ever be filled again.
Because of Annie? Or did you have also some sort of chemical? Okay.
Oh. Because of Annie.
What happened between you?
Well, let's just say that my love for music and my love for the world, I was a true believer, he says, in the oneness of humanity, in the sacredness of life, in protecting and loving each other, protecting our nature, taking care of our environment. I had so many passion, and I was so driven to make a difference in the world, to use my fame for the better, for the better of man, to bring everyone together, to protect the wildlife. Man, I had so many passions that I got sidetracked.
So you didn't spend enough time with her?
I didn't spend enough time with my family. I was always on the road. I couldn't say no to an offer. I couldn't say no, when they come up to you, and they go, oh, can you help us save the rainforest? Or can you help
Oh,
us with these children dying in Africa of hunger? I mean, how do you say no to
oh,
that?
that'd be tough.
And it's really hard. And so she felt neglected in some way. She felt abandoned in some way. My children weren't seeing me as I should have been there. So it was just they felt second place.
Yeah.
They felt like they came last, and I gave them that feeling, and I take full responsibility for that.
Okay.
I should have done things differently when it comes to my family.
Could you have
I
taken them with you on the road?
Well, I did take Annie with me in the beginning, but as the children came, that became more and more difficult to combine because,
Yeah.
they needed to go to school, they needed to have friends. Don't
Oh,
forget, he says, I was grown up in a family that was constantly moving. I moved everywhere. I moved all of Europe, Asia, all
why?
over America because my dad was in the military. My
Oh,
dad was an Air Force pilot, and so we moved from place to place to place to place, and I never had time to establish friendships. I never had time to settle in. As soon as I thought I was going to settle, we were leaving again.
and you
So
didn't want that for your children.
yeah, I grew up very alone and
Mm.
very, I never felt like I belonged anywhere.
Oh,
And I didn't want to do that to
tell
my children. I
tell us.
didn't want them to
No.
go through that. And so, so that's with Annie, it really destroyed me. It really took a part of me away. And without her, I just couldn't feel it. And although I had found new love, it's not, he says, I don't want to say that I committed suicide because I didn't have the intent of, yes, I'm going to go in this airplane and I'm going to crash. That was not my intent. However, because I was feeling this void, this emptiness inside of me, don't forget by then, my popularity had gone down, my record label kicked me out. I felt really lost. I felt alone. Although I had somebody who loved me, I still felt alone. I felt abandoned again. I always felt abandoned by my father. He was
Yeah.
never there for me, and I always wanted his approval for years. And so when he died, again, a part of me lost was gone. So I ended up with a big void inside of me. And no matter how much I tried to help the world and help the people and did so much for everything, it just didn't take away the void that I felt inside. And so
Yeah.
I became very reckless.
Oh,
In some way or form, the adrenaline, kind of playing with faith, playing with the universe, challenging the universe. I would go skiing and I would go skydiving and I would really test my boundaries and my limits, in a way playing with death because
okay.
it made me feel like I was in control of something. And a whole with excitement and adrenaline. And so on that day, um, I had a very bad day that day. I have to admit, my girlfriend was on vacation, and she was not home. And as soon as I don't have anybody to talk to, I start thinking,
Yeah.
thinking, thinking, and that's the worst thing somebody can do when you're already in a bad state of mind, and you just have this alone time to think. It creates a feeling, of negativity. At least for me, it brought back up all the things that I thought I did wrong. And so I was having a bad day. I didn't drink that day, as what many people suggested I did. I did not drink that day. And so for me, flying was my way of getting away from everything, getting away from the nasty thoughts, getting away from the nasty feelings. It is so beautiful up there and so peaceful. That was my escape. That's why I loved it so much. My guitar is my escape, he says, and flying was my escape. I couldn't I wasn't very social due to the lack of friends that I had during my lifetime. So my guitar was my way of being social. My guitar was always with me, always.
Yeah.
No matter where I went, if I didn't know what to say or what to talk about, I would bring up my guitar, and that was my way of talking to people. That was
Oh.
my way.
So
Okay,
was
so
it the contract for you to leave early? You sang about growing old.
it's
Someone says,
not
but
in my contract. It was it
was it in
was
the
free
bird's
will.
contract? The bird that hit your airplane?
No bird hit my airplane.
Oh, I thought it did. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, he said,
What
this is what
happened?
happened. This is what happened. Well, the airplane that I had bought was very new to me. I had only flown in it like once or twice. And the pilots or the people that I trust on, they told me, that there had been some altercations. They had changed the airplane a little bit
Okay.
for the previous owner, is what
Okay.
he said. He said somebody that he bought it from, and the previous owner had changed a certain switch. He
Okay.
said that was supposed to be in between my legs, and they had changed it behind me. It's almost like behind him
Hmm.
on one side, and so the airplane could hold two people. And
Okay.
so the previous owners always brought a partner. There was always somebody with him. So whenever that switch was it's almost like it has to do with fuel. Like he's showing me how fuel from one part of the airplane, and then there's fuel on the other part of the
Okay.
airplane. And when the fuel is empty on one side, they have to like switch the lever,
Oh,
and
okay.
then the fuel from the other side comes in, and you can continue to fly. And so whenever that person, the previous owner had his partner behind him, they could just switch the flip very
Oh, okay.
easily. It
Yeah.
was right in front of them.
Okay.
And so my people had recommended that I needed to switch that before I went up in the air because it was dangerous. They had tried it and they had gone down
Oh,
because they couldn't reach it. It was too hard to switch and it was very hard to reach.
that's
So
awful.
I knew of that problem. I knew of that problem. And also on the day when I left, they told me, you don't have a lot of fuel. There's not a lot of fuel in here. Do you want us to get the fueler? And so I told them, nah, it'll be fine. So again, it was me being impulsive. I was playing with my life. I was
Mm.
playing, challenging the universe in some way or form. And so I went up and I thought, it's not my time to go. I'm going to be fine. It's a little bit of playing. It's a
Yeah.
risk you take. You're playing with your own life. But for some reason that day, I just wanted to get up there as fast as I could. And I just wanted to get away from everything.
Hmm.
So it was kind of a rush decision.
So you ran out
Uh,
of fuel. Long story short.
Basically, I ran out of fuel. I was very much, I remember the last moments I was enjoying the view. I was enjoying, it just made me feel calm and peaceful, just like being in heaven. It gave
Mm.
you that sense of being on top of everything, but away from everything. Just you, the universe, and that's all I needed.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, um, the engine started sputtering, and
Mm.
so he tried to reach, but because he was not paying attention, because he was kind of first,
Yeah.
really taking in the awe, he didn't have enough time to do it.
Oh.
He showed me, and he went down quickly. He went down a lot faster than he expected. He thought I had at least an hour in fuel. But keep in mind that this was an airplane that was only like my second time flying,
Yeah.
so I wasn't familiar with it. And I thought I had an hour at least. Uh,
Did you leave your body before you hit the terrain?
yes, my father
Oh.
was with me in the airplane in spirit.
Yeah.
So I remember the airplane going down, and I'm trying to get to the button. And I remember seeing my dad sitting behind me.
Wow.
And I was like, Dad, what are you doing in here? And he says, I'm here to take you home
Oh,
and
wow.
me out before we hit the water.
Okay.
And in some way or form, I really was relieved to see my dad because
Yeah.
he had played a very important role in my life. Um, my whole life was about being accepted. It was about overcoming the idea that the outside world needed to accept me. My whole life,
Yeah.
I've tried to get my father's attention. I've tried to, I wanted him to be proud of me. But he was a very introvert man. He would not discuss feelings. He would
Mm.
not, he was very, very
Military.
rare with his praises.
Yeah.
He didn't give a lot of praises. He always thought that I needed to get a real job. And so for years and years and years, my whole life, I've tried to say, to have my dad be proud of me, to get his approval, to
Yeah.
get love. And in some way or form, the only love I ever experienced with him was when he quit the military and he taught me how to fly.
Oh.
Those times, those days were for me were
Mm.
priceless because
Oh.
for the first time my dad really saw me. My dad and I communicated, which is something we didn't do very often. We would talk on our trips to wherever we needed to go, and he
Yeah.
became my pilot. You know,
Sure.
and he left real soon. My dad left real soon, and so as soon as he left, my world collapsed.
Mm.
I really felt if I finally found a way to communicate to him. I finally
Yeah.
started that connection that I wanted my whole life, and then he was taken away from me. And I
Oh.
never thought that we really got to where we needed to go. So when my father picked me up, you know, it had a total different feeling. I
Yeah.
no longer felt like I needed to impress him. I no longer felt
Of
an
course.
urge, and it just felt so peaceful and so loving
Yeah.
that my transition was so great for me.
That's
It was
awesome.
this
Okay,
love and
we're getting so close. We might have to do this, finish it in another session, Emma. But um, let's see. Who did you meet? Just real briefly on the other side.
he's saying my dad was the first one, and then I had a spiritual, almost like a homecoming team.
Oh,
My
good.
spiritual team who had been with me for a while.
Hmm.
We all have a like a soul group
Hmm.
of people who are guiding you, who are discussing your progress, who
Yeah.
are, teaming up to help you out. So those were the people that I saw. And then after that, I did see some family members. I see some great grandparents and grandparents. And there were some artists as well who came forward
Do,
to
do you
greet me.
do you have concerts with people like Jim Croce, Karen Carpenter, John Lennon, things like that?
We do sometimes get together. I wouldn't call it like a concert, but it's more of a sharing of experiences and the sharing of lives. Yeah.
Okay. Someone wants to know if you share a past life or other life with any of the Channeling Eric blog members. Just a yes or no.
He's saying no.
Okay. Um, what would be your most sincere wish for your fans to do in your memory? And then we'll go to the spirituals. I can't get to all the blog member ones, so it's just not enough time.
What was my wish? He
Yeah.
said.
What would your wish be to do in your memory, your fans to do in your memory?
Well, he says, as a human being, it was always my desire to communicate through music and to bring forth ideas and communing everyone. Being an advocate for various causes that bring humanity together. So
Okay.
whatever you want to do in my honor, make sure that it always comes from a perspective of love, of compassion, and of unity between the humans who live on this earth and the environment that provides us with all that we need. So whatever you need to do to protect the environment, to
Yeah.
protect each other, um, I'll be there for it. He
Good.
says.
All right. So Emma, do we have time to go through the usual, like real quickly, these
Sure,
my usual list? Okay, John,
sure.
what was your spiritual mission here on Earth? Just real briefly, because Emma has to get to her kids.
Well, I think, like I said, my spiritual mission was to open people's eyes and to be an example on how we can all live in harmony.
Okay. Were you here to learn anything?
Yes, I was here to learn to love myself.
Oh.
I was here to find the acceptance within me and stop finding it outside of me.
Hmm.
I don't think I have fully succeeded in that, but I have other lives where I'm still working on that as well.
Okay. Do you have any regrets?
The only regrets I have is that I didn't spend enough time with my family.
Oh yeah, of course. Can you share another life that most influenced your one as John Denver, either past or future life?
He says, yes, I have a life. It is not on this earth. I have a life where I am a Pleiadian, and we live for protection. We live for conservation. We live for nurturing, teaching, and growing. And so it's all from a perspective of complete, there's no ego.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
it's all in service of the whole of everything. It is in service of everything that is alive to allow it to live or fulfill its purpose. And it really, in this life, as John, I wanted to do the same thing. But see, when we are in a Pleiadian, from a Pleiadian perspective, we get an outside perspective
Yeah.
on why humans are doing what we're doing to our world, why we are attacking each other.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to bring peace and harmony and unification and love and compassion to the world. But I wanted to see it from a human perspective, why it was so hard for us
Mm.
to achieve all those things.
Ah. So we're fellow Pleiadians. Cool.
He says, yes,
Let's get
a
matching
lot of us
tattoos.
are.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Have you reincarnated or you plan to?
I am currently incarnated. I am a 5-year-old boy,
Hmm.
and I live in Portugal.
Cool.
And again, my mission in this life will be the protection of the environment and the stimulation within people to have a healthy ecological system around us.
Cool. Is that life going okay?
So far, so good.
Okay. Is there
I
anything you can
have great
share?
parents.
Oh,
She's
good. Good.
parents.
And they stay put, hopefully. Can you
Yes,
share
very
anything?
supportive.
Good. Can you share anything about you that we don't know, that people generally don't know?
Um, well, like I said, my guitar was very important to me, and I got it from a grandmother in an attempt to help me with my shyness and with my not being able to communicate to other children very well. And what people might not know is that that guitar went with me when my body was cremated, so was my guitar.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. Um, any messages or advice for the world, for humanity?
It all comes down to love. If we don't
Mm.
have that, then we don't have anything. And then these realities that we have created together, because they are created and they are created by the global consciousness, will come to an end and will cease to exist. Not that the energy will cease, but it will be turned into a non-livable place, unfortunately. Now, he says, I don't want to scare people.
Yes, please don't.
Uh, yes, I don't want to scare people, he says. Um, there are plenty of other species and energies out there who are helping and protecting this earth.
Good.
But as a human race, if we want to evolve into a more enlightened state of mind, the first step is to be kind to your environment, is to be kind to, and find the equality in all of it.
Yeah.
Animals, plants, we're all the same. We're all equal. There is not one above the other. And if, as long as we don't see that equality, um, we're never going to find the compassion and the love that we want to experience.
Yeah. Well said. So what do you think about channeling Erik and about Erik himself? The man.
He says Erik is a great guy, and he is part of the healing process of all of us, and he's just beginning. So, and this is just him beginning and starting to open up awareness in people. So, I used to do it with songs. If you listen closely to all my songs, it was all about love. It was
Yeah.
about nature. It was about finding your place in nature, connecting to Mother Earth and loving her. And Erik does the same thing, but it is more of an approach of teaching, an approach of reaching people at their level in understanding and comprehending the dynamics of the universe. And so, knowledge, understanding, and love, if you combine those, then we can achieve great, great things as the human race.
Yeah, so y'all make a good team. Do y'all ever play guitar, jam together? Have you?
We have, actually. We
Wow.
have.
So cool. Jamming with John. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. And Janice, he says, Janice
Just
Joplin.
Joplin. Awesome. So
Hmm.
last question. Erik or Emma, do you have any questions to ask Mr. Denver?
Well, why did he choose the name Denver? Because I know that's not his
Oh my
real
God,
name.
that's so weird because I was thinking the exact same thing. I must have channeled that from Erik. I've
There, you're reading my
got
mind.
a got a naked grandson at the
Oh,
door.
guys,
Oh my
he's
gosh.
peeking in.
Mm.
um, well, he says, really, it's a simple explanation. There's not much to look behind it, but basically,
Go.
I moved around so much. I'd seen a lot of different states, and Colorado really was my favorite one. Hi, baby. Oh, he's just smiling. He's going,
That's so
hello.
funny. Okay, sorry about that, guys, but it's called Life of a Grandma.
Yeah. And my real last name was Duchendorf, so that didn't seem to ring
Really?
bells. Yeah, he's saying my real name was Henry John Duchenberg.
Really?
My father was from German descent,
Was
so
it
my mom's
what was it?
Irish.
Was it Duschendorf?
Duchendorf.
Door? Okay.
And so he's saying that didn't really ring any bells. And Colorado was my favorite state.
Mm.
I loved nature. I loved the animals. I just loved
Yeah.
the mountains. I loved everything about it. So I just picked Denver. John Denver. It had a good ring to
Yeah,
it.
I like
Denver
it. It's
is the
awesome.
capital of my favorite state. So there you go. It's as simple as that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. You've given us so much wonderful advice, and I feel like we know you so much better. And I hope this was a good chance for you to share yourself with people, with others.
He says, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come forward. And he's saying, I just want to say one more thing.
Nope, you have a quota. We're done. I'm kidding. Of course you can.
He's saying that he was always a fan of space, and he would really like to see um, more research invested into exploring our universe and our galaxies. So,
Okay.
you know, for anyone who's listening, um, knowing the other species, connecting to them, will help us in understanding ourselves and will help us with the tools that we need in order to create a unification of all species.
Nice. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Emma. check her out on emmanuelmacintosh.com, which I will put here. And thank you so much, Erik. I love you both.
I love you too, Mama. I love
Thank.
you too.
Sorry I went over 7 minutes, but go
Oh, it's
kiddos.
okay.
And
That's okay.
I'll get some clothes on my grandson.
Yeah, and I'm gonna feed mine. So
Okay. Love you. Bye,
love you.
everybody.